Hello, everybody. Welcome to this very special bonus scene that you all have unlocked with your very generous donations of Godjar LLC's first ever, and perhaps last, business meeting in Rosso. Dun, dun, dun! Am I gonna kill Jaran and Dewey off screen? Who knows? Find out today. Hi, I'm your GM and creative producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on all the internets, specifically Twitter and TikTok at byConnieChang, BYCONNIECHANG. You can pass along introductions real fast down to Hamna.
All right, I'm officially scared. My name is Hamna, and I use any and all pronouns, and I play Jaran Kader, who uses they, he pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all of the different projects that I'm a part of, because I am a TTRPG performer, and yeah, I do the thing on the Twitter. Follow me. Okay, Max, take it away.
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play. If this is my last time playing Dewey Quurk, it's been nice knowing y'all. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Starchmonger. That's me. I'll pass it back up to Connie.
Starchmonger, yes. With that out of the way, let's get started. No one laugh at me, please. We're gonna begin the bonus scene, and thank you for being here and watching the scene. So, we are gonna open this scene on Raso, the capital city of the championship of Nabal, a capital full of spiraling towers that punch up through cloud layer into the atmosphere. It is situated, of course, on Clothal Island, on Ingir Lake, which is a heart-shaped lake to the west of Andake's continental sprawl. Of course, Clothal Island is comprised of a dense, thick jungle in the center of it, and to its southern point is the beating heart of the championship, Rosso. We're gonna fly up the spiraling base of one of Rasso's 8 towers, a massive pillar of woven architecture and bas reliefs, spiraling stairs carved up this length of sandstone, marble, glass, wood, and rock. We're gonna fly up its entire height, past, I think, like a level of clouds, past like where several gulls are, like, you know, like we see a flock of geese, like traveling by. We go up past the geese, we go up past like various little holes in the sides of this tower that are windows or balconies or the stairs that wrap up along its entire height. And we're gonna fly through a particular window to reach a lavish, opulent hallway. A corridor just melted over with like lush velvet carpeting, this golden embroidery, vaulted ceilings erected with wooden ribs. We see like paintings, oil paintings and watercolors just mounted on every single inch of this corridor's walls, and we see heavily armed guards standing vigil like every 15 feet or something in this vast corridor. It's big enough to bring like an entire promenade, like a procession of people through, but it's indoors. And 2 little dots walking down this red tongue of velvet carpet, we find Jaran and Kane. And Kane's ever-present retinue of like admirers and servants and guards and followers are also there. Yes, they're there. Sort of like in the wake of Kane, right? Like they just ambiently spawn wherever the champion's around, right? And Kane is in the middle of like, kind of like, ho ho ho, like laughing and like walking, like sauntering really. Kane never walks, Kane saunters down this corridor. Their back turned and they're sort of just like sort of sashaying backward, like talking to Jaran on their way to a private dormitory, let's say. And as our eyes fall upon Kane, we see, of course, a midnight blue tiefling with these glimmering silver eyes, these long kind of blue horns that rake up and backward down their skull, and long dark blue tresses that like fall very like effortlessly across their shoulders. They're wearing an open tunic. The buttons, only the bottom button is done very lazily so, tucked into these like high-waisted trousers to like lazily reveal these like top surgery scars and these like nice leather. I think they're wearing leather trousers. These like knee-high boots, right? And they've got like golden rings on their horns, and they're draped in like various floral adornments and jewels. And they smell, as always, perfect. And they're walking down this like carpeted hallway surrounded by, you know, their various followers, but looking at you, Jaran. And I think their head is currently cocked to the side as they're walking backward, and they're saying, "You've been through so much in Dabathati. It's nice for you to finally let loose a little, isn't it?" And we're gonna swing over to look at you. What do we see?
Jaran knows exactly what they're getting into when they come to visit Kane, so I think he has also tried to sort of look the part of Kane, the champion of Nabal's partner. And so what we see is Jaran kind of in his best clothing that he has available to him. So we see these like nice pressed like brown pants. We see also I think a black shirt that is like kind of the sleeves have been rolled up to their elbows. And it's sort of like a button down that they've closed. And their hair is like nice and like combed and like off to one side, like kind of going off down one shoulder. And you can see as well the threads, the icy threads like going through their horns, but there's fewer than there used to be, I think, from all of the times that Jaran has like given them out to different people and used them. For example, sending that letter to Kane and wrapping them in them. So there's fewer than there were before, but I think we can see Jaran like looking nicer than he has in probably like his whole life at this point, I would say, in order to sort of like, you know, feel like they fit in here and with Kane. And they're walking along, maybe a little bit kind of still not used to the retinue that follows around Kane. So they're kind of like distracted a little bit by all of these people that are just around, and he's acutely aware of all of these eyes and ears that are here in this conversation. And he looks over at Kane as they're walking and says, "Let loose, I think, is..." It would be nice to, but it's a little hard to, and they kind of look.
Don't worry. I've commanded them not to eavesdrop.
And you think that they're going to listen?
Oh, if they don't, I have their head on a platter. Kidding, Jaran. Yeesh, loosen up. Someone rub their shoulders, and like, without asking, two gnomes, like, hop up onto like platforms that like two minotaurs hold, and they begin to like massage your shoulders on either side.
That's okay. That's not really necessary. But thank you.
Not necessary? Okay, the four of you are fired. Out. And the two gnomes and the two minotaurs, they look like two sets of twins. They look crestfallen. They like hop off of the platform and like dejectedly pull themselves away from the retinue.
Kane, I don't think you need to fire them just because.
Well, why not? I mean,
well,
they weren't good for you, right? So it's okay. We can fire them. It's okay. They're a dime a dozen.
I think we need to. I am still not quite used to all of this. I think so. It's just going to take me a little bit to adjust. That's all.
Right. Sweet little Morosy lamb. Oh, you're used to communal living and your little monster hunting, you know, adventures, living out in the dirty wilderness where there are bugs. Well, no. You come to visit me, I lavish you in opulence. That's how this works.
All I really wanted is just to see you. I missed you.
Oh, I missed you too, lover. Here we are. And Kane stops in front of like these big doors that look like they're huge and double doors, and they look like they'd lead into another hall. But they're like, my new bedroom of the week. I have 8, you know, a different bedroom for each day of the week. Today I'm feeling a little spicy, so this is my spicy bedroom. Unless you're in a different mood? Sour, sweet?
I'm curious about all of the different. Sure, we can go into this one. Are there 8 different flavors?
Duh. And Kane like claps their hands twice to dismiss the retinue, and they immediately leave. Like, they pick up their silks. Like, a couple of them were like draped on the ground, like eating grapes. One person was like feeding grapes into another person's mouth. They immediately pick themselves up like very professionally and just leave. Like, they're gone. Like they were actors or something. And Kane nods, gestures at the 2 huge, like muscular armed women on either side of this door who like they muscle the doors open to reveal. Even though Kane had said this was like a spicy bedroom, it looks like I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It kind of looks like a depression hole. Like there's blankets everywhere and pillows. You don't even see a bed because everything looks like a bed. It looks messy, right? Like there are like a dozen beds in here and none of them are made. And the curtains are drawn. There's a balcony, but the door's shut, so it feels very stifled. It's kind of dusty in here. Like very much like opening a door into someone who hasn't come outside in like a week straight, right? Come on in.
I think Jaran's surprise is quite evident on their face as the doors open and they see this room. And remembering what Kane's bedroom looked like the last time that Jaran was here, it's a stark difference between the two. So they just kind of cock their head, raise an eyebrow at Kane. This is your bedroom?
The guards close the door behind you, right? And you feel like a kind of muffled noise settle over the threshold. Very similar to the silence spell Sitlali cast over the tent when the two of you had your talk after everything that happened at the conference. And Kane's back is to you, right, as you address them. And their tails sort of like swishing ambiently at their feet. And when they turn around to look at you, all the exuberance and like all of the chipperness and like the da-da-da is like gone. Like from their face and from their visage and how they're holding their body. They suddenly just look very tired and a little small. And I think you're struck by the fact that you are taller than Kane. Kane is about Oka's height, like 5'9", right? So you do tower over Kane a little bit, and they turn to you, and like the smile that had been lighting up their expression just sort of like fades. Yes, this is one of my rooms.
Jaran's face, I think, softens at this sudden change in Kane's demeanor. And they've never really seen Kane like this before, so they're a little bit concerned. And he walks over and sort of like, if Kane will allow it, will softly put their arms around them.
Kane allows it.
Is everything okay?
Kane lets you hug them loosely a little bit, right? They look up at you for like a hot second, like your face is so close to each other, right? You're like skin to skin here. And then they just slowly break eye contact and like lower their forehead to your chest and just rest it there for like a long time, actually. And then they like slowly sneak their arms up and pull you in at the waist, and they just sort of hold you there for a longer stretch of silence than you've ever experienced in Kane's presence. And then you realize what's happening after maybe 30 seconds. You realize that they're crying, they're weeping gently against your chest.
Jaran, not wanting to interrupt or like ruin this moment or this sort of like catharsis for Kane, they are just going to sort of bring their hand up and into Kane's hair and just sort of like gently stroke it. It's okay. I'm not really sure what's going on, but know that if you want to talk about it, I can listen.
At your gentle touch, almost like Kane projects such a unbothered exterior, like flippant even, some might say, like nothing can really hurt them. So it's not cruelty that makes them crumble, it's your gentleness, it's your soft touch, like threaded through their hair, the compassionate words coming out of your mouth that causes their kind of soft crying to get a little bit more violent. Like their shoulders shake a little bit and you hear them heave a sob, I think through their throat, and they cry a little bit harder against your chest, like unable to form words currently, and they hug you closer. And for a long time, I think they just cry wordlessly against you, and eventually when they're done, they sniff, they pull away, they like snap a finger and they prestidigitate all the gross snot like a way, just it's gone. Like off of your clothes and off of like their face, but their eyes are when they look at you, their silver eyes are a little swollen and a little red from crying so hard, and they crack a wavering smile up at you, but they haven't completely gathered themselves yet. I'm okay. It just the letter you sent me about what you did, about Ravi, Dabathati, Oka. I guess it just hit me. That Oka's really gonna die. That's a real possibility. I mean, I'm okay with it. Gods know I've lost more people than I've ever had. But I don't know. The fact that it's Oka, it's still hurts.
Jaran will take their hand and like tuck a strand of hair of Kane's behind one ear and kind of gently cup their face. I know. I feel the exact, well, maybe not the exact same way, but I feel similarly. It sucks thinking about the fact that they very well might not make it past the next, year? Less than that, maybe? But we have each other, right? To help us get through it.
Yeah, I suppose we do. You know, Jaran, I don't blame you for trying to stop destiny. I'm sure you've heard over these past few days how much of a monster you are, how horrible it is what you've done, and sure, whatever, yes, sue you. But I don't blame you. Jaran, hells, if I'd been given the same chance, I might have made the same mistakes.
I think you're the first person to have said that, actually.
Come on, let's sit down. Do you want the bed over here or the bed over here? Or do you want the pillow fort?
Let's do the pillow fort.
Okay. And Kane goes over. There's a pillow fort with like a blanket draped over it, so you could like cuddle underneath it. And they go, oh wait, hold on. Saffron. And a trap triggers, where like a hidden bear trap like snaps up like at the entrance of the pillow fort and like disappears in like a poof of like saffron scent. Sorry, I'd set traps, just in case someone wandered in and decided to use my pleasure palace for their own pleasure dome. People tend to do that. My followers think they have the run of the place, but they don't. So we have to set an example. Alright. And Kane like opens up the blanket entrance and gestures for you to go inside.
Jaran will follow, just kind of like stepping over where the bear trap was, just in case. What does the pillow fort look like on the inside? Like, does it have like anything set up, or? Yeah,
there's like a little table and some substances that are definitely illegal, as well as like little pillows for you to kneel on, right? Like a pipe. It smells kind of like smoke in here, but not in an unpleasant way that like clings to your nostrils, like in like a nice, airy, almost like misty, vaporous way, for lack of a better term. And it's a large pillow fort, like you can stand up inside it. Like you only have to stoop a little to get inside. It's quite massive. It's suspended on like these two big chaise lounges. You know what I mean? Like their armchair is, and magic seems to be keeping it aloft.
Yeah, so I think Jaran walking in is going to sort of sit down. I imagine there's like pillows quite literally everywhere because it's a pillow fort. And he's going to sit down by the table and sort of like gesture for Kane to come and sit next to him.
Mm.
And if they do, he's just going to like rest his head like gently up against Kane's shoulder. I don't know how you do it, to be honest.
Do what?
Deal with all of this. I know that you said that you're okay with the potential inevitability of Oka's death, but how? I've tried, I really have, since we met, to be okay with it, but I don't know, every time I think about their face and I think about not seeing it anymore after all of this is over, I can't get past it.
Kane turns, to look at you, and they like place both of their hands over one of your own. They look into your eyes and they say, I loved Bloodthirst. I really did. I loved him in a true sense of the word, I think. And it's taken me a long time to come to terms with that. I've always tried to reject that part of myself, but I have to admit it. I did love him. I loved him so much that I killed Ishmael for him. Because he told me to. Because I wanted to make him proud. I wanted him to love me the same way I loved him as a father, as a child. Loving Oka taught me that love doesn't have to be brutal. It doesn't have to be cruel. It can be soft. It can be gentle. It can hold you in its arms and never cut. I loved Ishmael in a similar way. And I killed him. So no, Jaran, I don't know how I'm going to be okay if and when Oka does inevitably die to save Ndake, but I do know that no matter what, we're just going to have to go on. 'Cause that's how life is. But at least this time around, we don't have to be alone. And they they squeeze your hand in theirs.
Jaran will return the squeeze and nod silently for a little while, just kind of like processing all of this information. Not being alone. Is that the answer then? Relying on other people to get us through whatever fucked up things that we need to get through in the next coming months.
Jaran, you're from the freaking commune. Of course that's the answer. I used to think it was weakness to have to count on someone else. But now I see it's survival.
It's funny, you say I'm from the commune and I should maybe know this already, but I guess growing up I learned that other people needed me to be there for them, and I tried to be in the best way that I can be, but I guess I never really learned how to let other people be there for me, I think.
Well, I guess this week we can be there for each other, then. And maybe I can teach you a thing or two about being pampered.
I think it might take more than a week to learn that, but I would love to try. I would love to start.
Oh, darling, believe me, after 1 week of clothal seaweed wraps on your feet, you're never gonna want to come back.
Well, that might be a problem given that, the Paragons do need my help in order to... Oh, but a seaweed wrap sounds so nice right now.
Mm-hmm. Here. And Kane's gonna turn around, pick up a sack that's just in this pillow fort. They pick up a sack, they reach inside, and they pull out seaweed wraps. They're just inside the sack, and they look perfectly temperature preserved. It's definitely like a magical bag. How about we do some now?
I didn't realize you just kept them here. And,
of course. I have little bags of luxury stored all over every single one of my rooms.
I'm gonna need to take one of those with me when I leave.
Absolutely, a little gift basket. Aw, that's so cute. Okay, yeah, I'll tailor it to you.
And I think Jaran motions for the bag. Let me go first. And they take the seaweed and with one hand try and wrap it over Kane's feet, probably doing it incorrectly in some way, but he's trying his best.
Oh, you're so cute. Oh, that's where you think that tendril goes? No. Okay, you know what? Why don't I just do this? Speaking of allowing yourself to be taken care of.
Okay, you're right. And I think Jaran will kind of lean back, exaggeratedly, and put his arms behind his head and go, okay, I'm ready.
There we go. And Kane turns around and claps their hands, and the seaweed wraps float up into the air by themselves and begin to wrap around your feet. And they go, what? I'm not gonna touch those things with my hands. They're slimy, but they're good for you. Very exfoliating.
For a second, I thought you were talking about my feet.
Who says I wasn't? And like Kane like ribs you a little bit with an elbow.
Well, I mean, you've certainly touched them before in more ways than one, so.
Oh, you want to repeat? I'm gonna just not reference. I'm gonna stop it right there. So I think on that, like the two of you giggling and laughing, right, and like getting your little seaweed foot wrap done, we're gonna pull out of the pillow fort, like away from this tower, like fade to black a little bit, and then come back up on a shimmer of light. One of the raised daises in a central chamber of one of the higher levels of the Tower of Risk and Reward beams to life. Shing, 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 golden threads just shooting up, pillars of radiance echoing all throughout the hall. Guards stand at the ready to receive the latest guest as we see shimmering into existence, materializing, Dewey Quurk. As your form, your silhouette begins to take place, we pan down the stairs to find Jaran and Kane. This is, I'd say, like a couple days after the scene we just had, awaiting Dewey's arrival. But Dewey, as you take form, why don't you describe to us what Kane and Jaran see?
At first you're not sure if it's like a trick of the light, in that his coloring is a little bit different. It's a little bit more like blue-green, ocean-like, than his usual dusty gray-blue. But he's also got, you notice he's got like, the tips of his feathers are black with like white dots on them. And he's wearing a number of robes with like a sash tied around his middle. And he's got one golden eye, and he's lost his glasses, like he's undergone some sort of girl in a movie transformation. And he looks very out of place standing atop this transportation circle. He still looks very nervous, looking around.
We pan down to Kane, who is like, I think this has been a week of luxury. You've gotten mani-pedis, you've gotten your hair done, you know what I mean? Like, if you can, so you can describe however Jaran looks, but like Kane has like, ooh. Their hair is not naturally wavy. You discover that this week they have to get it permed. They have to get it permed quite frequently. So they've recently just gotten it permed so like the coils are particularly bouncy. They've not allowed you to see their hair like straight. I think their hair is naturally straight and it wants to be straight like really, really, really bad. And they've got, they've got like new nails, right? Like green, like all sorts of colors, like just glimmering iridescently. They look like dragon scales, right? And they've got like a whole face of makeup on because I think they just like treated you to a day at the salon and like they did a whole face of makeup and they offered, but whether or not you accept it is completely up to you. They look up the stairs and they go, "What? Hi, sorry, we might have grabbed the wrong bird person. Where's Cardew? Dewey? Cargo shorts, yeah."
We literally met like a month ago.
Oh, sorry, darling. I meet a lot of people. What do you think, Jaran? Do you think this bird knows Dewey?
I think what we see is Jaran's hair is up for once in their life. It's like up in like a very nice like ponytail that they've put on. Jaran is wearing a lot more jewelry than they normally do. I think similar to Kane's like horn ornaments, they insisted that Jaran kind of like try it out. So like in his horns as well, there's like little. Jaran tried very hard to argue for subtlety in all of this. So there's like they're thin, they're delicate, intricate, kind of like I think there's silver bands that are around his horns. And they also like have their nails done. You can see like very clearly they're like clean, kind of like French tipped, the whole thing.
French tips!
And they're wearing...
You mean championship tips. The French don't exist here.
Right.
Nabeliche tips.
Wait, no, hold on. You're equating Nepal with France again.
We're in Nepal.
You've done this.
Okay, fine. It's Silongan tips. Seal tips.
Q-tips.
Q-tips.
Oh no.
Oh. And I think Jaran is wearing like very intricate clothing that is like embroidered with this kind of like floral pattern on it in the colors of Scott and Nectus, I would say, specifically. And they kind of look up at Dewey in shock, I think. they're looking, and they also at first I think had a thought of like, is this the correct person? Did we and they kind of look confused at Kane and then look back at Dewey and recognize Dewey's voice. No, I think this actually is Dewey?
Huh?
Dewey walks off the platform and towards Jaran and like picks up Jaran's hands like, what are these? How do you expect to work on our business venture with these nails?
Well, I mean, I'm in charge of research, and I didn't think that research had anything to do with nail. You're the engineer here, right?
I guess what happened to you?
Speaking, what happened to me? What happened to you? And Jaran just kind of like points with one arm at like up and down Dewey's form. Can you see? Are you wearing?
Oh yeah, this. And Dewey pulls out like a pair his glasses, but the lenses have been like popped out, so they're just frames. Yeah,
Lenses.
you know, Paragon transformation.
Stop! Everyone shut the fuck up!
I wasn't talking.
You're Dewey Quurk? Dewey Dad Bod Quurk? Dewey couldn't find fashion if it slapped you in the face Quurk?
Have you
It
spent
may
the
have slapped
past?
him a few times, because
Did you spend the last couple months coming up with those?
No, I just came up with them on the spot. You're, and Kane like walks around you in a circle, like looking at your feathers. I think they like, without asking, they like grab a wing and like stare at the black tips with like the starry like little dots. They like look at like the robes you're wearing that look really good, like the sash, the Godjar strapped to your waist. They turn and they pause like finally at like in front of you with like just the frames and no lenses. Huh. And Jaran, you can tell that Kane is annoyed. You look good, Quirk. You look good. You know, I think it's distinctly unfair that the tasteless get to have a makeover just because Destiny said they could, and I have to work for mine. But you look good, Quirk. You look good.
Do you have to work for yours?
Obviously, I have to set up appointments. Well, my assistant sets up the appointments for me, but I have to show up, or sometimes they come to my room, but I have to lie there as they do my hair and my eyes and my nails. It's quite an ordeal.
I've witnessed it. It is quite an ordeal, actually.
I know. Thank you, Jaran.
But, Dewey, when did this happen? Does that mean that you have Galtanger now?
Oh yeah. The Godjar? He holds up like the little ceramic.
Galtanger actually got into the jar?
Well, no, that part didn't go according to plan.
What happened?
I gave into peer pressure and accepted Galtanger into my soul.
So what's that then?
Well, this is this is the Godjar, of course. Patent pending. It's a work in progress.
How much progress exactly have you made on the jar? Is it able to hold a shard yet, or?
Well, there was a minor setback in which the God Shard of Galtanger exploded it, and I had to glue the pieces back together, which took like a week. But it's like more powerful. I don't know. Galtanger helped me out, but I think it's better.
Jaran is gonna take a step forward and like I think ask Dewey if he can have the jar just to hold and look at.
Yeah.
And he takes it in his hand and like turns it over. Can we like see the seams from where it's been put together?
It's like kintsugi. Like the cracks have been welded with gold after Galtanger helped like finalize its form.
And I know that Jaran is not a magic user, so they're not particularly in tune with the weave, but does it seem like this is just an ordinary jar, or like does it
seems super magical. Like you look at this thing and you're like, that's like the fucking One Ring. Like it's a super magical item that even a normal person would be like, that's magic.
Wow, Dewey, that's amazing. And Jaran will hand it back. I will say that your trip definitely panned out much better than mine did.
Jaran's missing an arm. Have you noticed?
Oh my... What? Wait, what? Did the...
And Jaran will just hold up like the bandaged arm. Yeah, it's a bit of a long story. The Paragon of Utabathi took it off, actually. Because
Wait,
I tried to kill her, but that's not important.
Wait, I thought we were working with her. I thought... You thought we were working... Wait a second.
We were at first, and we are now, but there was maybe a brief period in the middle where, in order to... Remember when we talked about how the magic of the Godjar requires us to understand souls? Yeah? So in Dabathati, there was the Chrysalis, and they do a lot of stuff with souls and the empty monsters, and I thought maybe going and learning what they knew would be helpful. I may have made a bad deal with the Chrysalis, and it resulted in, well, all of this.
You wanted to use the Chrysalis dark magic to work on my jar?
I just thought that we shouldn't rule out any source of knowledge, and I was wrong. I was wrong. I can accept that I was wrong.
Okay, so now what?
I might be able to control the empty monsters though now, which is interesting, and might be useful.
What?
Who's up for
what
some
happened?
dinner?
Dewey stares at Kane blankly.
I think it's time for some dinner. And I think on that we cut, like, immediately smash cut to a dinner table, laden with, like, soups and dumplings, plenty of vegetarian options for Dewey. Like a big old crock of soup in the center, plates of, like, fried tomato and egg, like, steamed green beans, like braised pork belly, like all sorts of delicious things, like all over, like sides of like paratas and like little fruits, like stewed lemons for juice, etc. in Tonga's workshop. On the second floor of Tonga's workshop, actually. And I think, like, sitting around this table, we see Dewey, Jaran, Kane, Xiaohu, and Tonga, a dark-skinned human woman, chubby, with, like, this thick, like, curly black hair, like, currently done up in, like, these two buns on either side of her head. She's got, like, glasses on, right on her forehead. She looks pretty much exactly the same as you left her, Dewey, and she's currently fawning over you. She's, like, pulling at your feathers and looking at you, like, putting on her goggles and, like, adjusting them and, like, looking you up and down. And she's going, wow, look at you, Dewey, wow, look at these feathers and oh, look at this robe and this jar. Wow, it's just glimmering with all kinds of magic I've never even seen before. She's like adjusting like the aperture on her goggles, and then she stops and she looks at you and she says, oh, Cardew, I missed you. And she hugs you, like gives you a big ol' hug.
I missed you too. You still recognize me like this?
Of course! I mean, I was a little stupefied when you showed up on my doorstep with the champion of Nabal, but of course, their regent and their regent's mentor always have to make time for a nice championship dinner, and when I saw you behind Kane, I'm sorry I didn't greet you until now. I was flabbergasted.
No worries, it's a little bit of a change.
My flabber was gasted.
I'm sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. It's amazing. You look very handsome, Cardew. If only Ulani could see you now, really. Look at this glow up. You could really just make her regret ever leaving you and taking the kid.
I brought a change of work clothes for later, for after dinner.
No. Stay in these clothes. You look great.
I don't know if I can wash them. I don't know if I can. Do I get them dry cleaned?
Oh, you still use water and soap? I just prestidigitate myself clean every day. Oh, these dumplings are delicious, by the way, Xiaohu. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jaran has just been awkwardly eating food this whole time because Dewey's like family history is being brought up, and I think these details are things that Jaran specifically did not know about before, so they're like learning this about Dewey for the first time, and they're like, just gonna eat this food.
Xiao Hu leans in. This like jaguar, like tabaxi, right, with like a prosthetic arm, right? Leans in, re-leans in, and like and a growl goes, in case you didn't know, Cardew is an absent father, has a daughter at Uhanai and a wife, well, ex-wife, Ualani. He left them, has never gone back since. Do you need an arm?
Jaran leans in, also whispers, thank you. I did know about the child and the wife, although I didn't know all of this. Yes, I do. I am here for a prosthetic. I believe Dewey said that he would be able to fashion one, but I think he
Yes.
might be a little preoccupied right now.
No, not preoccupied at all.
But hold still, Cardew. I have to measure the length of your wingspan
eat.
here to see if it's changed. And apparently, Paragon manifestations can alter your bone density. I mean, based on what I'm seeing with you, isn't that fascinating?
So does that mean that the hollow bone jokes are gonna stop? No more hollow bone jokes?
Kane chimes in and says, "Huh, even if your bones aren't hollow anymore, we're still gonna make fun of you for them. That's never gonna stop.
Why? Why do?
You're just easy to pick on, right, Xiaohu?" "Yes, unfortunately, yes." "What? Stop it, champion." And Xiaohu, stop picking on Cardew. Look at him. He's much handsomer now, and well, not that you weren't handsome to begin with. Let me make that clear. But you're very extra handsome now, and is a fully realized paragon. So he does deserve everyone's respect. Okay, Xiaohu. Sorry, Dewey. Kane.
Mhm.
I'm not apologizing. You have no jurisdiction here, woman. I'm not apologizing.
Jaran will
Hey.
elbow Kane.
What? Okay, fine. I'll lay off, but I stand by what I said.
Okay, but that's my business partner and one of the future saviors of Endake. The least we could do is at least be nice.
Okay, fine. Carry on, the two of you business boys, with your business conversation. Xiaohu and I are gonna talk politics while you talk business.
Jaran is just gonna look over at Dewey, kind of like apologetically, just like, and mouth, "I'm sorry."
Dewey's like, it's fine. I've heard worse.
And I think they like pick up their bowl that they've been eating out of and just kind of like sidle on over to Dewey, closer to wherever he's sitting. So Xiaohu mentioned prosthetics, and I know that you also build prosthetics, I think, from what you said earlier.
Oh yeah. That's what I did for a good chunk of time. Like the thing that Xiaohu has, that's like, I mean, Tonga made that one, but like we prototyped that sort of stuff together before I left. So
That's really cool. Do you think that you could help me, maybe?
yeah. I mean, after dinner, after we finish eating, I've got like I sent Tonga all these like drafts, proposals, and I think she got all the materials for me downstairs. So it's gonna be great. We'll build you something top notch. I mean, like Xiaohu made the dumplings, right? With their prosthetic hand, it's got amazing dexterity. Not to toot my own horn.
No, I trust you. I mean, I wouldn't go into business with just anybody, Dewey.
I mean, you did kind of go into business with the chrysalis, though.
Okay, that wasn't a business. That was different. We did not become partners. This is different. My point, what I'm trying to say is, Dewey, I trust you. I think that whatever you've got planned will be perfect.
Cool. I would love to hear where you want to take this Godjar thing, because like it's kind of moot in my case, unless I, die unceremoniously before the big Paragon battle.
Yeah, we're trying to avoid that specifically. I mean, do you still want to work on the Godjar, given that you have Galtanger within your soul now?
I think it's still good to have a backup, don't you think?
I agree. I just I guess I'm trying to be more critical of my own decisions now, considering the mistakes that were made recently. Do you still think it's a good idea, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
I think if we're able to take this more like critical lens, looking at this project, I think so. Not like the rushing headlong into it, like I sort of did in the beginning, and then that ended up giving the Paragon Killer the tools they needed to steal Ogre's soul.
Okay, so, and Jaran pulls out like a notebook and kind of like plops it onto the table, and pulls out like a pen to start writing with. Okay, so extra security is one thing that we're gonna need for the Godjar in order to avoid it being stolen.
Uh-huh.
We'll definitely put some resources into that. Secondly, I think we need to test whatever you've made so far with something. I mean, if Galtanger won't consent to being placed into the jar, do you think a different god might, or do we need to test this with... See, the place where I'm getting stuck, Dewey, is if we are going to actually make sure that this jar works, we need to know that it can house part of a soul, but, well, I've seen what it looks like when somebody's soul is shattered. I think you've seen what that looks like as well. And I don't know that anybody will agree to that.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt here. I can't help but eavesdrop when great inventions are in the works. And like Tonga turns, like mouthful of like enoki mushroom, and then she swallows and goes, God jar? Might I inquire what the purpose of such a jar would be? Maybe I can help.
We're trying to create a vessel in which we can house a god shard, like the one that is currently residing in me, or
the one that caused the carnival. That's now in V.
Yes.
What would be the purpose of removing your gods from your souls and putting them in jars?
Well, the paragons are supposed to die, so we don't want the god shards to die with us.
Wait, hold on. Wait, can we rewind? What did you say about paragons?
The destined to die part.
What?
Yeah.
A silence falls over the dinner table as Tonga's like in the middle of like picking up a cucumber, like piece of cucumber with her chopsticks, and she stares at you. Wait, Cardew, are you saying that you're destined to die?
Yeah. Though, like, this is second or third on the list of things that are planning for me to be dead. Remember I told you about the watch, and the URL, and the myriad, and destiny now.
Oh, Tonga, darling, don't worry. They're destined to die to save Andake. See, it's their sacrifice and the sacrifices of the god shards inside them that make it possible to defeat the stranger and bring Andake back to its original state, yada 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 yada.
What? Yeah, well...
Wait, you knew about this? And you didn't... Cardew, why didn't you tell me? Wait, but... Your family, and... me, your friend! And Tonga punches you kind of hard in the shoulder.
I mean, I just want to make them proud. I want to be loved the way that I love them.
You are loved, Cardew!
Well,
Hana worships you. She worshipped you.
She hasn't seen me in so long.
You're still her father. No? Daughter never stops loving her father, especially a father like you. How much longer do you have left? You have to go see her. You have to set things right. How much time is there left?
This is me trying to set things right. Look,
half a year, darling. Half a year. This is delicious. Half a year? 4 months, Cardew?
Listen, I already went through all this in my head. I didn't want to do this, Tonga. But
Wait, is that what the god jars are? You're trying to put the god shards in them so the paragons don't have to die?
that was the original plan, yeah.
Well, what's changed?
I think we have to die either way, but like maybe the god shards don't, because the first paragons didn't really succeed. And so
Wait,
maybe
they didn't. What do
Oh,
you mean
yeah,
they didn't
this is-
succeed?
this is a new update on the paragon situation. Last time, the old paragons, the stranger just like left. They didn't like defeat the stranger. Of its own, it left of its own accord, and
What?
they weren't successful.
Wait, so you mean to tell me that the stranger just left? Why? Why did it leave? Will
That
it just
doesn't
leave
make
this
sense.
time?
You're looking
And
at the
Jaran, I
wrong
think, is
answers.
like furiously taking notes as Dewey is talking this whole time.
Wait, you didn't know this?
No, I didn't know this, and I'm the champion, for goodness sakes. But does the doctor know this? Does Dr. Luso know this and just isn't telling us? But this is important alliance information to know.
I feel like the doctor knows everything. But I
Believe me, that Dr. Luso wouldn't know flirting if it bit them up the... Anyway, tell us more about this stranger situation. They're not omniscient. Everyone, Dr. Luso this, Dr. Luso that, blah, 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 whatever. Tell us about the stranger.
That's literally all I know. It left of its own accord last time. The first paragons didn't defeat it, and my thinking is just it's not great if it comes back and eats these god shards for power and leaves again.
So, are you saying it's better for your souls as the paragons to be sacrificed than it is the god shards? That's the new
mean-
purpose of the jars?
We know for a fact there are more paragons. I don't know if there are more god shards. I don't know if they're renewable. I think there always will be paragons.
Jaran.
I-
Kane turns to you. Yeah, in the middle of eating. Are you okay with this?
Yeah, I think Jaran has been like taking notes this whole time as Dewey's been talking. At first, because it sounded like Dewey was giving an elevator pitch, and he wanted to make sure that, you know, we had our elevator pitch down, and was making like, oh no, we're gonna take that out of the pitch. That's not good. Or like that. Yeah, we'll keep that part. But then as Dewey kept talking and the question of like the purpose of the jar came up, they kind of stopped writing and they like are just staring at Dewey quizzically. You never mentioned that. You never mentioned that the... Wait,
I wasn't aware last time we spoke.
I thought the whole point of all of this was to try and find a way to save the gods and the paragons together.
If we can get that to work, that would be ideal. I just don't know how viable it is.
And Jaran is like visibly, I think, taken aback because Dewey is like the one person out of everybody who's kind of been on the same wavelength up until now, who's kind of wanted to actually pursue this line of thinking, this line of questioning. And it feels like losing that last sort of bastion of support that Jaran had, which is a lot after everything that has happened, after all of the mistakes that they made up until now in Damathati. So what, we're just not gonna try to save the paragons?
No, listen, if you want to keep pursuing this, I'm in your corner. But if I've learned anything from this whole Galtanger business, it's that me, personally, running away from my problems tends to make things worse. But like I said, happy to hear out what you want to do with the jar.
And Jaran kind of like puts everything down, like puts down the book, the pen, and kind of leans back a little up against the wall behind him. What I want to do and what we should do are maybe two different things. I don't know, Dewey. I want to use this jar to figure out a way to save you and Galtanger. But, fuck, I don't know. Maybe that's not possible.
That's my fear, is that in pursuing that, we lose the ability to save even just Galtanger, and we lose everything.
I really hate that the gods are so much more important than all of us.
Yeah, well,
What made you accept her? You said it was peer pressure, but really, what was it?
they were talking about how this is something I've always been the one for inaction, right? Running away from my problems, coward Dewey this, coward Dewey that. But if this is the thing I can do to make the people I love proud, and if I have to sacrifice myself to save them, I guess I'll do it. If fate has it out for me to die, at the very least, I don't want to be alone when that happens.
Frankly, I don't see what the problem is. Xiaohu has been continuing to eat this entire time. Paused when all the lore drops are happening, but nodded. Took them in stride and keeps eating. Right? And Tonga and Kane all turned to look at Rim like, what the hell? And Xiaohu goes, there's an obvious solution to all of this. What? Do I really have to say it? I'm not even the inventor here. Just beat the stranger without dying. Duh.
That feels a little easier said than done, Xiaohu.
That's why you gotta hit the gym, Jaran. You gotta get strong.
Thank you, Xiaohu.
Valuable
I'll make
insight.
sure to do that. Yep.
Well, actually, hold on there. Xiaohu might kind of have a point. Cardu, I'm not sure where you're getting your information from, but anywhere in that little death prophecy that, oh, the stranger just left and we didn't actually defeat them, anything about its weaknesses? Any idea where we might get information on its weaknesses? I mean, come on, everything has a weakness.
If you want to go see the tapestry up in Morose, learn from the past?
I was actually planning on doing that after here, and Jaran turns to Kane after seeing you. That was my plan, was to go to Morose with Gentle, and actually V wants to see Morose. I'm not really quite sure what for. She said to cause trouble, and I don't know what that means, but I was gonna go look at that tapestry. Apparently there's information about the previous Paragon War on it that doesn't exist in the books that we've read.
Oh, how'd you know about this, Jaran?
Dr. Aluso told me.
Oh, that Dr. Aluso's up to something. I'm telling you. I'm not just saying that because Oka's obviously in love with her. But
What?
What?
You didn't know?
Was I supposed to know?
It's a little obvious.
No, that flew over my head too. The last time Dr. Aluso was here, I didn't know they were in love.
Dr. Luso was here?
Well, yeah, during the carnival. You know, came with Rev. You know, we rescued all of you. You were asleep for like 10 days.
Did that happen when I was asleep?
Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Okay. Huh.
Well, I didn't notice anything. Well, I'm not saying it's reciprocated, darling. I don't know if... Anyway, that's a great lead. Well, look at that. Aw, proud of you, Jaran. Proud of you too, Cardu.
It doesn't really feel like we have done anything yet, but I appreciate that. I appreciate the thought.
Well, you will. Both of you will. I'm sure of it. And that's Champion Kane and member of the Alliance speaking. Actual Kane thinks that you're both probably fucked, but I'm gonna keep that to myself.
I don't think that counts as keeping it to yourself, darling.
I said I'm keeping it to myself. Geesh, Jaran, I strung much? Anyway, Cardu, you've hardly touched your soup.
Oh, sorry. I was too busy talking about the fate of the paragons in the world. And he stuffs some. He starts like scooping soup into his mouth.
Cardew, I really will miss you. If things don't pan out right, I just want you to know that can we have some privacy, please?
You want us to?
Yes. Downstairs, maybe, out of earshot?
Oh, okay.
No problem,
and
Tonga.
Okay.
John will scoop up a whole bunch of food in his arms and walk downstairs, just kind of looking quizzically over his shoulder, like, okay. And walk downstairs to the workshop. And I think just kind of like the nearest empty desk will just lay all of this food out.
Yeah, Kane joins you, right? And Xiaohu also comes down with like your own plates of food. And like back upstairs, like now that this dining area is empty, Tonga looks at you, Dewey, and says, Cardew, I was gonna tell you I told myself I'd tell you this the next time we saw each other in person, and it's actually happening, and it feels more relevant now than ever, given the whole destined to die to save Ndake thing, which hopefully we're gonna avert, but just in case we don't, I like you.
I like you too.
Nope, how to put this,
Did you make this soup?
I did.
Or was this Xiaohu's doing?
No, I made the soup. I flavored it the way I know you like it, with Whittier mushroom in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I like you a lot. Cardew. I always have. And even when you left to work at the URL and then, had a dog-headed demon sent after you were fired from the URL, all that stuff, I've always thought you were brave and smart and really kind and had a good heart, and a really great, honestly, a really great friend and a brilliant inventor, and I like you.
Thanks, Tonga. You were the only one who believed in me for a long time. You've been a really good, sometimes my only friend.
I have romantic feelings toward you, Cardew.
What?
It's okay. You don't have to say anything. I just wanted to tell you. I don't expect you to return the feelings, and honestly, I was anticipating never telling you ever, but it feels important for me to tell you that. That's all.
Dewey is frozen in place. Just for background, how long has this been going on?
Well, I knew that I liked you like this right before you left for the URL, so I guess several years?
Pretty girl tiger in the sky. Oh gosh.
What was that?
I am going to use the restroom.
Oh, yeah, okay, yep. Why don't you go ahead and do that? Everyone, you can come back up now. We're good. Cardew, it's fine. You don't have to. It's fine. I just wanted to tell you, you don't have to do anything.
And Dewey walks in the wrong direction, I think, to the...
You walk into her office. You say I'm going to pee, and you walk into her office. Okay, yep. And at this stage, I think Kane has come back up the stairs, and like Xiaohu is proceeding up as well. Maybe Jaran, you're also with them. Welcome back.
Oh, what happened? And Jaran's got like food in their mouth.
Nothing. I just wanted to, just a touching moment, with Cardew, because he's gonna die and all that, so I just wanted to say some touching things.
Did you finally confess?
What? What's that, Xiaohu?
I asked, did you finally confess your romantic and sexual feelings toward Cardew?
And Tonga, leaps across the dinner table and, tackles Xiaohu to the ground to get Rim to shut up.
Jaran chokes on the food that he is eating.
Kane goes, "This is the best day of my life."
Where is Dewey, by the way? Where is Dewey?
He's peeing in my office.
What?
Dewey opens the door. He's like, sorry about that.
The bathroom is downstairs.
Thank you. I am aware. Speaking of downstairs, this was a lovely meal. Jaran, do you want to do the arm thing now?
Yeah. Is there even like a sink in there? Did you wash your hands?
You know what? Go ahead and use my workshop. It's in the basement. Downstairs is the storefront, workbench, everything. Basement. You know the drill. You know the code to get in. I'm gonna with Xiaohu. Why don't you help me clean this up?
Okay, I don't know why you're being so weird and awkward. Fine.
And Xiaohu stands up and starts like putting the dishes away.
I think Jaran and Dewey start walking down towards the basement, and like as soon as we're out of earshot of like Tonga, Jaran is just gonna nudge Dewey and be like, "What was that all about?"
Do you know? Did you know this? Did everyone know this?
I just met Tonga today.
I didn't. Okay, well, I don't know. This
What
is
did you
news to me.
say?
I didn't say anything. She was just like,
You didn't say anything, like nothing.
I said I appreciated her friendship or something like that.
But did you tell Tonga how you feel, that you don't feel the same way, or do you feel the same way, or
I. Can we just do the arm thing and I'll get back to you on that?
Dewey, okay, yeah. We should talk though about how you're supposed to respond when people say something like that to you. Just if you're gonna be traveling with some of the hounds, I feel like this is a key skill that you need to learn.
Is this a thing that happens on the regular?
Yes.
Oh. Are you speaking from... Wait. Are you a good person to coach me through this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, just checking. I don't know.
And I think we get into the workshop at this point. Don't look at me like that, Corey.
I hate that I
Jaran
don't have an
thinks-
NPC in this room
know,
that
it's
can caught
hilarious.
Jaran on his bullshit right now.
I know. I love it. Give me the power.
Jesus. Yeah, okay, you're in the workshop proper. I think, you're able to like tap open like a keypad on like a basement flap, like a trapdoor that opens, and there's like a series of stairs that lead down into like a basement area, quite vast, bigger than the storefront, that has several workbenches, like a furnace in the corner with like ventilation that goes up through the pipes, like a big workshop area with tons of like maps and grids and like schemas and blueprints and whatnot, hammers, tools everywhere. An inventor's wildest dream is down here.
Anyways, so the prototype, the plans I made should be somewhere, and he's just like rifling through all the papers I think that are like stuck to the walls.
Jaran, I think, also is like extremely fascinated when they walk into this workshop. They're kind of like half listening to Dewey as Dewey's like talking about like finding the schematics and the prototype documents and stuff, and he's just kind of walking around just like looking at all the stuff that's on the wall, like picking up like tools here and there and just kind of like examining them. This is really cool, Dewey. You know how to use all of these? What's this? And he like holds up like this odd looking shape of a tool.
Oh, that's the thing that if you want like nice curves in like metal, like you bend it over the thing so it's not like sharp. But these are all like Tonga's things. She cleared all my stuff out when I left. They're all in a box somewhere. Speaking of that box, and he goes and finds the Dewey's crap box, Cardi's crap box. And he drags over a big piece of paper, and he shows it to Jaran, and it's got sort of... Hands are hard to draw, but this one's got like the most poorly drawn hand you've ever seen, connected to like... It looks like a series of like rings, and Dewey goes, I know it's a little confusing, I'm not the greatest at sketches, but what I was thinking for the arm is if you wanted to do like multi-purpose, adjustable. Anyways, I'll just show you. And he sort of like leads Jaran over to like a chair, I think. And he sets their arm down on the armrest. And he goes like, is it okay if I unwrap this? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, go. Yeah.
Okay. And he undoes the bandages around Jaran's arm. And it looks like just kind of like a pile of rings. They're like iridescent and black, and he sort of sets the rings down on the stump of Jaran's arm, and then hits it with a bunch of increasingly tiny hammers, I think, to set it in place. And he's sort of chattering on about like all the inspirations he's had working like to get to this place, and what he wants it to be able to do. And so if I just attach these things right here and click, 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 they should, and the rings sort of like telescope out in like a web of thin metal filaments to like the general shape of an arm and a hand. And it's hollow because like they're rings of metal, but they're sort of held in this arm-like shape by some sort of arcane power. What do you think?
That looks really nice, actually. Would these rings, you said that you wanted them to do lots of different things. What kind of things exactly?
You could like use it for precision work, like the hand that Xiaohu has that crimped all those dumplings that we were eating at that very chaotic dinner. It could like be used for like fighting if you want to like swing a sword or a hammer. It's pretty sturdy. It should be, at least. I haven't like crash tested this thing. You have something in mind?
I have an idea, and Jaran will take the nearest pencil and like take the big piece of paper that has the schemes for this arm on it, and at the point where the prosthetic would like actually meet the elbow or on the drawing, Jaran is going to draw this very crudely drawn shape of a lotus flower like blossoming out from the elbow. So it looks like there is like lotus petals on the elbow, and then the arm is like coming out of it as if it's flowering from this flower. What about that?
Yes. I was actually thinking, like, I couldn't figure out how to make the arm attachment part work super like fluidly. I think you're onto something.
And if I noticed that these filaments, they're black, and I was wondering if, well, I mean, I don't know if you have access to obsidian, but if the lotus could be made of it.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, that would be, I think, sturdy enough to withstand some maneuvering.
It was sturdy enough to take off the arm. I figure it's sturdy enough to reattach it.
Yeah, you want to tell me about that? Do you want to talk about it? You don't have to tell me about it.
You're a paragon, Dewey, and I mean, we're going to be working together for quite some time. You might as well know. Yeah, Adam, the leader of the Chrysalis. Well, I made a deal with him, and it turned out to be more of a curse than a deal, really. He promised me that you and all of the Paragons, Oka, Manaya, V, everyone, would survive, would live, be safe after the Paragon War if I could give him Old Mama Lightning's life. The logic was that you undo the prophecy. If all 8 Paragons can't be there during the war, then the prophecy that you all have to die, well, it can't come to pass, right? And I don't know, I thought maybe it could work. What's the difference, really, between 7 Paragons and 8? But, well, in pursuit of that, I tried to kill Old Mama Lightning, and he holds up his arm. Failed. Thankfully, failed. But, well, and like Jaran like gets visibly, I think, like more uncomfortable at this point, and he's having a hard time like meeting Dewey's gaze. In the process, I accidentally killed someone else, someone important to Oka, and I don't think they've quite forgiven me for it. Understandably, but so this prosthetic, this arm, I thought maybe it could be a reminder to ground me going forward, you know? Like, remind me of everything that happened, of what happens when I don't really think through things properly.
Yeah, I, of all people, I know what you're talking about.
Do you?
Yeah, doing things callously and people getting hurt for it, dying. URL
What?
stuff. I mean, URL stuff, they're almost certainly in cahoots with the Chrysalis people, and the Stranger? I'm not sure what the relationship is there. And maybe some of the stuff I made helped carry out their plans. But anyways, I know how important it is to stay grounded.
So what grounds you then? If you've been here before? I mean, look at you now. Paragon of Godtanger.
It still feels weird. Still sounds weird to me. Mostly my family, hoping I can get back to them, and all of you, the other Paragons, the Keepers.
The what?
Oh yeah. Dewey, I think, explains the Keepers. Like Tokto was one. I don't know if anyone else has been named yet, but like the gods have a choice now. Remember how I was joking that like I would be any god's last choice of Paragon, but they do have a choice. So like Tokto Kagan is Galtanger's keeper, and I assume the other god shards will have their pick.
Ironic that the Paragons don't get a choice, but the Keepers do.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that works yet. I'm sure we'll see as time goes on. What's I never really asked why do you care so much about the Paragons dying?
Well, it started out mostly just about Oka, I think. You know, Oka is my partner, and I don't want them to die after all of this. I would like to spend more time with them. But beyond that, it's just unfair, is all. None of you got the chance to reject this offer that was made to you, if we can even call it an offer, really. This responsibility that's been thrust upon you. It's a lot for any one person to bear, and I don't know if history says that we can save the Paragons and save Ndake both at the same time. I thought, why not? Give you Paragons an option, a choice. Don't we all deserve that?
I'd like to think so. I think Galtanger would think so, but...
Godtanger agrees?
Well, I haven't broached the whole this thing, this Godjar us not dying thing, but like, it stands to reason the god of freedom. I mean, that was her whole thing, like, didn't want to get in my Godjar, because that would be me forcing her to do that, and she didn't really cotton to that.
This is the first I've heard of a god shard being unwilling to die for Ndake. I don't know, maybe there's hope yet. Have we considered incorporating Galtanger into Godjar LLC?
You want to make that pitch? Because she doesn't super love to hear my ideas. Or
Well,
historically hasn't gone well.
Not putting Galtanger in the jar, but having Galtanger as a business partner in the company, specifically,
Correct.
in the
You
development.
You want to pitch to her? I can...
You're her paragon.
Yes. The last time I pitched any ideas to her, she exploded my jar, my entire business at that point.
Yeah, but didn't she also help you put it together? So, I mean, clearly you've got some sort of working relationship. I just think, it would be better coming from her parent.
Okay, well...
I mean, look at you now. You're a changed man, Dewey.
I hope so. Let's keep working out the kinks in this plan. Keep putting god shards into their correct paragons, and see if we can't get them on board afterwards. After we have a more solid plan.
Yeah. Dewey, if I may, if we are to continue working on this jar together, I think it might be useful for me to maybe actually help with the construction of it, or at least testing out prototypes and whatnot. I don't currently have any training in that regard, but if you were able to teach Tonga, then I figured that maybe you could teach me.
Oh, I mean, I didn't teach Tonga. We were sort of like we're like business partners.
Well,
So
we're
I'm sure-
like business partners.
Yeah. I'm sure I'll teach you what I know, and you can show me what you've got.
Yeah. Yes. I think the Paragon of Galtanger would look great with a dagger. I can teach you everything I
Okay.
know about how to wield one.
Yes, anything that makes me less easily disposable, I think, would help.
You're not disposable, Dewey.
Fighting, yeah, becoming a better fighter is probably a good idea, though.
Okay, you've got a deal. And I think for the rest of the time that like Dewey is working on Jaran's arm, like Jaran is like asking questions about the actual like the prosthetic, like how it's built, the magic that goes into it, and like all of sort of the ins and outs, so that they would also like understand theoretically at least like how this prosthetic is made and like how to repair it and all of that.
And I think when it comes time to teach Dewey how to spar, the sword that has been strapped to Dewey's back this entire time begins to vibrate.
Dewey, he puts a hand on it and he's like, so I've just been working with this enormous sentient sword that craves violence and also doesn't like me, and
It wasn't speaking or responding the last time we met.
no, yeah, that's right. And he like pulls it out and he's like, you remember, Dusty, was it? You remember Jaran? I think we
And-
met?
Oh, you finally gave it a name!
I think it gave itself a name, but, you want to talk to Jaran?
And the sword begins to glow. Kind of like dusty gray, right? And threads of magic ribbon up off the surface of the steel to form like standing in front of the sword, like its back tethered to the physical blade by like a single strand of like gray light, is Dusty. A fire genasi kid, but translucent. So you can't tell like the color of their eyes or their skin or their hair, but you do see like a kind of like fiery glow, like coming from their short hair. They look like they're maybe a teenager. Like maybe like a preteen or a teen. You know what I mean? They've got like a mop of like hair in their eyes that like is just ambiently glowing and swirling. And they look around, they see you, Jaran. They go, geez, Dad, it's still putting me on the spot a little, don't you think?
Oh,
Sorry about that.
hello, Dusty. I'm Jaran. We've met once before, actually.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk to you though, because at the time I was still mad at Dewey for not, for ignoring my existence and forgetting that I was there at all. And only using me for like violence and stuff. That was back when I was a pacifist. But I'm less of a pacifist now. I use violence with
Oh.
intention. Yeah,
Ah,
that's my whole
it
thing.
was a phase. Okay.
It wasn't what I don't call it a phase, Dad. Gosh.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't. Okay. This is a very complicated relationship that is going on here. But it's very nice to meet you, Dusty.
Yeah, I guess it's nice to meet you too, or whatever.
Wait. So does that mean that you control this sword, or does Dewey?
It's more like the sword is like my corporeal body, and I'm like the embodiment of its soul. So when I'm in the sword, I see everything that's happening from the sword's perspective, and I can make it fly around and stuff like that. But Dad, I'm serious about wanting a never mind.
Huh?
No, forget about it. It's fine.
If there's something you want to talk to me about,
Okay, but you promise not to be mad or like judge me for it.
of course not. Yeah,
Well, I mean, watching everything happen after Galtanger got into your soul and Toktoa becoming, a keeper, and then traveling to Dr. Aluso, seeing Dr. Aluso, now coming here, seeing the super awkward dinner. Like, oh my god, Dad. Like, ooh, glad I was a sword because I didn't have to, be in that room in a real way. made me realize that
what did you want to talk to me about?
I want to be able to experience these things. You know what I mean? Like, for real.
You want to be a real boy?
Yeah. I want a body. I mean, if you can make your friend your, and Dusty pauses at the word friend, looking at Jaran, your other lover? I don't, what's he?
Partner.
Partner?
Business partner.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, if you can give Uncle Jaran an arm, why can't you make me a body?
I've never made a person a whole body.
Oh, I know. It was dumb. I shouldn't have asked. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's
I'll
fine.
look into it.
No, because I don't want to get my hopes up, and then I don't want, obviously you're really busy with the whole Paragon thing. It's fine. I'll just be a sword. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Been a sword my whole life. It's fine.
I'll look into it.
No, I basically have a body here anyway. See, I can, and Dusty raises a hand, and it passes through Jaran. I can almost touch things.
No, if this is what you want,
No, I'll just live in the ethereal plane forever. Don't worry about it.
Okay, but I mean, it's up to you, but
Seeing Dewey struggling here with this parenting moment, Jaran is gonna clap Dewey very hard on the back with his with his arm that has a hand, and is just gonna say, "No, don't worry about it. Dewey is the smartest engineer, artificer that I know, and look, if Dewey can make this prosthetic arm for me, he can certainly make a body for you, and I will help. I will help. Dewey, you can teach me, and I'll help."
Dewey faces Jaran back to Dusty and is like, "What? And then I guess." And then he turns around to Dusty and is like, "You heard him."
Really?
Yeah, arm around Dewey's shoulder. Yeah, don't worry about it, kid.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Uncle Jaran. Dad, I really, really appreciate it. Well, okay, that's probably enough interaction for today. I'm gonna go back to my room. I mean, my sword room. I can still see and hear everything that happens. Just so you're aware.
You can come talk to me whenever.
Oh, I don't want to intrude. I don't want to, you have your bro time with Uncle Jaran. That's fine. Bye. And Dusty gets, there's no other way to describe it, gets sucked back into the sword through the tether, and the glow dies down.
Well, that's exciting.
Yep, I'm I have a lot going on.
That's very apparent, Dewey. Okay, pick up your son. I'll teach you how to wield him properly.
Okay.
And then I think from there, Jaran and Dewey kind of go at it for a little bit, with Jaran correcting the way that Dewey parries and the way that that he blocks and things like that.
And Dewey's he gets distracted and is like, "Oh yeah, I put a thing. I added this thing for your arm that would do really well in this situation. If you just maneuver a little bit to the right and up and then down and then up again." I think it's a little bit awkward, just them trying to teach each other back and forth at the same time.
I think that's really cute. While they're fighting, they're just both take little breaks to go over all of the schematics of the prosthetic and things like that, and then go back into fighting and things. And they just kind of keep getting interrupted back and forth.
I love that. I think that's how the rest of the night pans out. The sword son, Jaran, you notice is pretty early on, is directing the fight. You're like, whoa, Dewey's really good at parrying, actually. And then you realize he's kind of being jerked around by the sword. And maybe after a talk to Dusty relents, and lets Dewey's guard be broken and whatnot. Yeah, it's really cute. We see this is what happens for the rest of the night. Eventually, Tonga comes down with orange slices, for her boys. And Kane is really bored and wants to go home, but the two of you continue to do your thing in the basement. And I think that's where we leave the two of you, right? In Rosso, on this image of taking a quick break with oranges next to the schematics, Jaran learning how to do this artificer thing, Dewey learning how to defend himself with Sword Son a little bit more. We're gonna pull away. Fade to black on that. And that has been our Godjar LLC bonus scene. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I've been your GM and executive producer, Connie. I'm gonna pass along our introductions down to Hamna.
Yes, hello. My name is Hamna. I use any and all pronouns. And today I have been Jaran Kader, who uses they, he pronouns, who is processing and learning and making friends. It's great. I actually love this for them. I am a TTRPG performer, and you can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all of the different projects I'm a part of. So if you like what I do, come follow me there. And I will pass it along to Max.
Hey, I'm Max. My pronouns are they, them. I play Dewey. Didn't realize Tonga was into him this whole time. Quurk. Who knew? You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Starschwanger. And I'll pass it back to Connie.
Heck yeah, and actually, we're gonna have a special cutaway epilogue right now. We cut over now to Bacchanalia Beach. The pristine white sand covering every inch of horizon from east to west, the lapping waves of Ingir Lake coming up in tongues of azure water onto the sandy shore. We see little stalls, various food vendors and drink vendors. We see little saltwater pools that people are natural little inlets where people are splashing around. We see various Nabalians just enjoying the surf, enjoying the cool breeze wafting over the beach, having a good time even in the wake of apocalypse, as the people of the championship are wont to do. And we travel across all of these gyrating bodies, and I think the dusk music, right? Even as night begins to roll in and the starless dark begins to encroach, the monsters are kept at bay with well-lit torches and the ever pounding beat of, I think, an island, a series of island musicians, right? On this beach, just drumming, singing, vocalizing, playing on stringed instruments, etc., etc. We sweep across the scene of nightly reverie to find a massive shrine made of marble and wood that's been erected, I think, on an area of the beach where sand meets water. It's sort of put on stilts, wooden stilts to elevate it above the incoming tide at dusk and dawn. And the top part of this shrine is carved from marble, and the thick wood is more than strong enough to hold it aloft. And we realize what this is. This is an altar to the former champion of Nabal at Atlanta. There's a statue, a marble bust of her erected in her image. A proud, tall-looking Triton woman, right, wielding a golden trident. And there are various offerings at the base of the statue elevated on this wooden platform. We see flowers, we see fruits, we see gems, we see various worshippers walking up and down the platform to leave offerings. And we see, amongst all of this, Vasca.
Vasca has been knelt here on this day already for basically all day, for several hours, as she has done for several days that she's been here in Nabal. It's reached a point now where the sorrow is so deep that no amount of sobbing or crying could probably do anything at this point. She is all cried out, essentially. All that she can manage is pained sighs and just trembling fingers as she is her eyes are just looking upon the carved face of her once lover at Atlanta. Just looking up, hoping against all hope that maybe life would return to it and gaze back at her the same way. But as it has proven in the several days before, it's not doing the same now.
No. Vasca, we find you knelt at the base of the statue, surrounded, I think, by other people, also praying to the statue of Atalanta. This platform is probably large enough to easily fit 20 people onto it. It's a massive shrine. And I think you feel, as you're knelt in front of it, your face just hollow, right? You feel this low throb of grief just like crack through your heart. It's no longer like the sharp stabbing pain of heartbreak. It's sort of settled into like an ever ticking clock in the background of everything you've done in the championship, right? This grief sticks to you. It's not going away. And I think your white hair, like threaded through with these like brand new, like frosty strings, right, hangs a little limply in front of your mismatched eyes. And like your gold and black like robes and like outfits and tabard are just sort of like dangling like limply, like in like a puddle around you as you're knelt here. Mm-hmm. And you feel Costas rest a hand on your shoulder. Costas, of course, has traveled with you to the championship. They sort of clear their throat and go, Vasca, are we ready to go soon? I don't want to rush you, of course, obviously, but the doctor said something about needing us back at the cottage pretty soon.
As Vasca feels Costas's hand upon her shoulder, that touch and Costas's voice brings a much needed gravity back into Vasca's perception of reality in this moment, as the eyes that were once glazed over return to some semblance of life. There's a shine that returns to them as she kind of like casts her gaze downwards and reaches a hand towards Costas's hand that's on her shoulder, and kind of breathes in and sighs. I know. Thank you for being here with me. I just, I need a few more moments, if that is okay.
Yeah, of course. You feel Costas's icy fingers. It was like the ice half of Costas that touched you. Stiffen, somehow, like tighten underneath your grasp and pat you on the shoulder and awkwardly linger there. Is it okay that I'm resting a hand on your shoulder, or should I stop? Is that weird? Is that...
There's a soft smile that cracks underneath Vasca's once grief-stricken. Still, grief is just a part and parcel of the muscle of Vasca at the moment, but hearing the adorable awkwardness of Costas allows Vasca this moment of just distraction, perhaps, of the comfort of a friend, as a small, serene smile cracks upon her face. It says, "It is all right. Very, very nice, thank you." And she lets go just so that Costas doesn't feel less awkward for that.
Costas's frosty hand stays on your shoulder, and they're very still behind you. You are in tune with your body, you're in tune with gesture and movement as a bard. And Costas is frozen, not just because half of their body is literally made of ice. You get this as they feel really awkward, but they want to reach out to you, support you in this time. And they go, sure, yeah, we can stay as long as you need, Vasca, and then head back whenever you want.
She nods, looks back up towards the statue of Atalanta. Again, hope against all hope that something, life, recognition, to hear her voice. Hear her voice. And she traces her fingers on her flute that's sitting by her side. She wonders if Atalanta still kept it after what happened. Right? She remembers a zither that one was kept at Atalanta's living quarters, a instrument that she loves and adores, and also a preferred instrument for communication. Perhaps if she could just try and reach out. Maybe.
Vasca? You okay? You've got this look on your face I've never seen before.
She because she's knelt before the statue, she stands up into a full height, in one motion, and turns over to look at Costas. I need to return to Atalanta's home. I
think on that, we cut to you, Costas, and a very, an advisor to Kane, right? In a hallway. A very familiar hallway at the very top of one of the spiraling towers of Raso. This is where Atalanta used to live. This used to be her private bedchambers, and you know the geography of this space quite well, Vasca. And I think we see this like a servant there. A Z is a Fearbulk, rather average looking, just draped in these plain robes, but like very polite, right? Very friendly. Introduced yourself as Gwyn. Z steps up to the door, places like a key in the lock and unlocks it, turns to you with a very like placating smile on his face and says, well, of course, any friend of our beloved former champion of Nabal is welcome to tour the premises. We kept her bedroom exactly as it was left, as is tradition. Here. And the Fearbulk opens the door.
Thank you. And Vasca steps in. There's this just unintentional but very obvious deep inhale of the space. Because that's a lot of her associations with Atalanta is through scent. That plume of leather oils, the fragrance of like very earthy smells of like sandalwood-esque smells and saltiness of the water. And I think both the attendant and Costas would see Vasca kind of like enter this room trepidatiously at first, just taking in everything in its entirety, and I assume nothing has changed since the last time she was here.
It's like a memory frozen in amber. It's exactly as you left it when you and Atalanta had been bickering. So you see like a bed on like a slightly raised dais, like sort of in the back, like the sheets still undone, right? You see like a big old like floor to ceiling like mirror that faces the bed. You also see like a grand balcony with like rippling chiffon curtains. You see like an entire like wing of this chamber, which is quite massive, is like dedicated to a weapons rack, like all different kinds of weapons, all beautiful sorts of like spears and daggers and bows and crossbows, tridents and swords, etc., 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 and a huge walk-in wardrobe. And you also feel the strings of the weave here sort of like tighten around you, and you know that some sort of preserving magic has been cast here to like make sure that dust doesn't accumulate, right? And that like bugs don't come and make this place gross or whatever. Like this place is literally suspended in time. And you get the sense that maybe months had passed since your argument with Atalanta, right? So like there's no other explanation for why this looks exactly as you remember it, except for maybe that Atalanta never returned to this particular bedchamber after you broke up with her, basically.
Ow. Ouch. And I think that would be the conclusion that she would draw. And I think there's a moment where she wants to like sit upon the bed and touch the fabric, but stops herself, because that's a bit too much to feel right now, but she's being aware of it. And if there's like a little area, like a little lounge area where there is like a couple of cushions or couches, I imagine that there is a long zither that sits there, and it is made out of this a deep, like a dark wooden zither. It is this very, very dark brown color, and there is like beautifully polished, and it has this very interestingly dark strings as well. And she walks over to it and kneels by it and strokes her fingers down the strings, and each time her fingers trace each of the strings, she remembers Atalanta in perhaps her love languages, potentially being acts of service, like helping Vasca restring this and oiling the strings and the wood beneath. So even the zither smells like her. And she kneels down and exhales. She's terrified. Anything, this conversation could be Atalanta would be well within her rights to just not want to answer, to be upset, to yell, scream, blame her. She even if ethereal, even if spiritual, then only in her mind's eye. And she exhales, steels herself, and begins plucking at the strings, and it starts off at this deep thrum, then a higher note, then another deep thrum, then a higher note. And as she is plucking, creating music that she relates to Atalanta, this deep rumble like a storm. And as she is plucking, you see these dark clouds streaked in light red coalesce around her. As she's going to attempt to call out to Atalanta, reach out to her soul, using her soul magic to locate her and then communicate with her through song.
Okay. Vasca, as every note rings out in this room, the Fearbolg servant has closed the door to give you privacy. Costas stands at the threshold looking around. And it's like, this entire time has been like, wow, this place is nice. It's bigger than any cave I've squatted in. It's just sort of like looking around, like commenting on how nice the digs are. Ding, 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 ding. Right, like your song radiates outward and causes Costas to fall silent and turn their like split face onto you and watch and listen as you try to pull upon wherever Atalanta's soul might be. And Vasca, you know that after the cataclysm, we've been separated from the after. And I think this knowledge is beginning to dawn on you in a very immediate and unpleasant fashion, as you're trying to pull on the threads of the weave to call Atalanta's soul, to beckon her ghost, to open up a dialogue between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead. You feel nothing. Nothing calling back.
I think she panics for a moment, and there's like a moment where one of the notes kind of rings out discordantly, and she kind of like presses her palm upon the strings, calms down, and then tries, and I imagine as she is plucking through these, like each note and each way you play it is like speaking. And it is the equivalent of a desperate mule of, please reply, it's Vasca.
Make a performance check.
Okay. Okay, that's, hold on, what is my performance?
You're a
I have
bard.
a plus 15.
You're
I have a
a
plus
bard.
15. Oh, thank goodness. Because I rolled a 10, so that's a 20.
A 25?
Yep, I rolled a 10 plus 15. 25.
Oh my god, bards be barding. Okay, yeah.
Bars be barding. Expertise, I love you.
Oh my god. Your song becomes desperate as like notes that don't harmonize, notes that don't go well with each other, the pace picks up, it gets more frantic. Even Costas, who is not a musician, can tell something's wrong, right? They approach and they're going, Vasca, everything okay? Vasca, as you're just like plucking these notes, right? Like your fingers are reverberating with the force of like treating these strings. Mm-hmm. And with your 25 performance check, there's no other way I can really describe this. It's like your notes, usually when you use music to commune with the after, it's like it passes through the ethereal plane to reach the after and pull at something like back through the ethereal plane and open up a dialogue that way. You feel your notes phase through the ethereal plane, which means there's still an ethereal plane here. And then it hits something hard, like a bat using echolocation right before it veers into like a pane of glass. Right, it hits something hard, and then reverberates back at you. Which means that your magic, your music, had located something. It had found where Atalanta's soul might be, but there's something preventing it from calling back to you. Something hard, almost like it's made of steel or something.
Is the conclusion that she would most likely draw more in the realm of like the number you have dialed is not in service, or more along the line of this number does not exist?
It's more like this number is being held inside a soundproof room that you cannot reach.
Oblivion, huh? Okay.
There's make an Arcana check for me.
Oh no! Okay, I don't. That's a 6 plus 12.
It's an 18?
24. 18. I can do math. 18.
24.
24. I'm bad at math. I was
18.
like 6, 12, 24. That makes sense, don't?
You fought the empty beasts before. You fought the Black Star. You've heard of Dr. Luso describing other kinds of nothing monsters. This doesn't feel like that. This feels like, it feels like death.
I think Costas here is like really quiet, but very clearly because they have witnessed Vasca's grief before and sorrow before, a very familiar desperation and lack of control from Vasca, and she kind of just mutters under her breath, no, and kind of like puts, like, she doesn't necessarily slam her palms into the strings, but it is still a thump, and she stops playing, and she's just muttering no under her breath.
Vasca, what's wrong?
I can't hear her. I can't. She's not. I can't talk to her. I'm being shunted out. I can't reach her.
Hey, it's okay, Vasca. I'm sure there's an explanation for this. Atlanta is always gonna be in your heart, right? No matter what?
And I think a single tear falls from Vasca's new eye onto the zither. And you see the droplet like hits that string, freeze for a moment, then melt as it touches that string. And she just kind of like slumps, like she's leaning forward to play, slumps back to her haunches on her knees, and just nods quietly, like she's acknowledging logically what Costas is saying, but her heart does not want to cross that threshold yet. The loss is new again, somehow.
And I think on that, with Costas like holding you and like murmuring well-meaning platitudes at you, like, hey, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna go back to the cottage. It's gonna be fine. We paid our respects, like stuff like that, right? But you just staring sort of blankly at this zither. We're gonna pull away from this scene, the two of you huddled around this instrument, right? And like pull away as we just see the two of you become little specks, right? Like animals holding each other in like the vacuum of grief. Cut to black. And then somewhere, sometime, in a place other than this, Rev opens her eyes. And on that, we are going to end our special LLC Godjar Vasca bonus scene. Everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. This has been Connie. This has been Val. We love you all so much. This is a special bonus scene, so I'm not really sure how introductions are supposed to work here, because this is an epilogue of an epilogue. So I'm just going to say tune in to Transplanar Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. I've been your GM and creative producer, as always, for Arc 5. And this has been one of my lovely players. Val, why don't you tell folks about yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Valiant Durin. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a TTRPG performer and Twitch variety streamer, and I play Vasca here on Transplanar RPG. I hope you enjoyed the sad gay feelings with me. It's great, and you're on this journey with me, so thank you all for watching this incredible bonus scene.
Yes, thank you all so much for watching it. We do appreciate your support. This was unlocked because of generous donations from viewers just like you. So thank you for all the money you've been throwing at us. It really helps keep the Transplanar magic going. We are probably we're gonna raid someone if we're streaming. If someone's on, we're gonna raid them. If someone is around, toss them a follow if you like their stuff. Say Transplanar sent you. Use the raid messaging in chat. Even if you can't stick around, say Transplanar sent you to rep the brand. We love you so much. We will see you Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Bijou.
Bye.